Hey Truth, Tony here, making another video response to your video on Sheppard Smith. And first, before we get underway with that, I'd like to give just one of my viewpoints on the marijuana subject. I was going to leave a response to that video, but I couldn't really find anything else to say that you didn't already say. The only thing that comes to mind in that situation is either A, it's a truly made-up story, or B, it's just a rare instance, and that's all. That guy should just consider himself a very rare breed of person to have that kind of effect off quitting smoking pot, because in my lifetime I've never heard of anything remotely close to that happening to someone. So we'll leave that at that. Moving on to your video on Sheppard Smith. Before I'd even came across your page or watched any of your videos, which I just was today, yesterday I was making a video response to this guy in Baltimore, Maryland. Calls himself a Beta. He's a true Republican, prides himself on the fact that all of his information comes from Fox News, which I find it hilarious. But even before I'd seen your video, I was telling him my thoughts on Fox News and how I believe it's just a bunch of opinionated bullshit. I'd also pointed out that Sheppard Smith is an actual credible news journalist, and I didn't stay on that subject of that too long, but I'd like to reiterate my viewpoint on that on your video, and I couldn't agree with you more. This person, Sheppard Smith, if he was given the right organization, the right people to work with, I mean, this is a person who could do really great things with his career. But unfortunately, the way things are going, if he stays with Fox, he will eventually lose all his credibility. Even though he does try on his program to bring a bipartisan view on things and split down the middle, ultimately I don't think Fox will let him do it that long. So I think in the long run it's going to hurt his career. But myself, I definitely agree with you that he should leave Fox. Not just the fact of saving his career, but that way Fox would have no intellectual journalism on their program at all. And I think this guy is the only one who truly keeps that program together and keeps the circle of goofballs jibber jabbing, because without him it's just a pure insanity program. It's ridiculous. Just like you, I can't stand it. I can't, even if I do flip it on for a minute to watching Sheppard Smith speak, even the shit that scrolls across the bottom of the screen, I have to change the channel. I can't not stand it. And it's not that I don't want to hear an objective viewpoint to mine. I make it pretty obvious on my other previous videos that I really enjoy more talking objective thoughts than sharing the same ones. But and just seeing the amounts of young people, mainly young people my age in their 20s and 30s, who buy into all the opinionated BS on Fox, it's saddening. And the most saddening part is the people that are buying into this, Rush Limbaugh and Beck, BS, is people that in the future, 30, 40 years down the road, are ultimately gonna play a huge role in our country and how it's ran. So, but I'm not too worried. I don't think Fox is a big threat to President Obama's agenda, or I don't even think it's a threat to when re-election comes in 2012 when he's re-elected. Because let's face it, they don't. The only reason Fox is on bashing the president 24/7 is because they have nothing positive to say about the Republican Party, the party for which they have chosen to represent. They don't have there's not a there's no figure, there's no male or female figure of that party on the big enough platform to even consider themselves president. So in my opinion, I think it's just a huge waste of time on their part of what could be actual news actual news journalism and actual facts. I mean, if you watch an actual bipartisan news show, MSNBC, it's not completely down the middle. Let's face it, they have a conservative host their morning show. A lot of their anchors on there are just, they don't want the Democratic side. They don't want it to they don't want to always pretend they're right, and they don't want to always pretend that the other person's wrong. And that's what draws me to that, is because who doesn't want to see both sides of an issue? I think that's just why most people watch Fox News. The people that do, is because maybe they just lack that part of the brain that gives them the ability to think rationally for themselves. And I see it every day. I have friends who watch Fox News, and most times I'd rather not get into debate with them on the subject, because just like on Fox News, when someone goes on and gives an objective thought, they just blow it up. Not even on their program, just in news in general. These jokers they got on there, Beck and Glenn, they're just, to watch them talk is so comedic, so hilarious. I don't understand how they can be taken seriously, as well as Rush Limbaugh. I don't encourage people to listen to him, but if you haven't, and you haven't heard what these people have to say, I do encourage you to go see or listen to some of them jokers, so you can see for yourself how the hell some people buy into that. But it's an unfortunate part of our nation. But on the same note, that's what makes our country as great as it is. It's the democratic society we live in, and so far it hasn't proven us to be wrong. That's about as far as I'm going to go on the Alex Sheppard thing. I just definitely want to reiterate that I do agree with you on he should leave Fox News just for the sake of himself, just for the sake of his career. Because I really like the guy, but I think over time it's gonna ultimately burn him in the ass. So I'm gonna leave that at that. I'm gonna move on to a little more on healthcare. It just passed through the House. It's a great thing. Has never happened. And a lot of people underestimate the ability of something this great that could happen to our nation. I'd just like to have your opinion a little more on the current bill that's going through the House, that went through the House, and is there anything that you'd like that you prefer that wasn't on there, or that was? Obviously, you're for the public option, I'm assuming, and I think that's the main reason for this reform, is to provide competition. It's just ridiculous. I'll use just a brief analogy. It didn't come up with this one too premeditatedly, but for instance, I live in a small town, has about 8 gas stations. Of all those gas stations, their coffee is basically the same price. You get a small 79 cents, medium 89, large, going upwards, and the cappuccino is a totally different price altogether. But the gas station I choose gives it the same price for all coffee, all sizes, no matter what cappuccino, hot cocoa, whatever you get, it's the same price for everybody. And that's basically what our healthcare reform needs to be. And I think that's what the Democratic Party is trying to do. But and unfortunately, I think when it all said and done, at the end of the day, when it does go through the Senate and becomes put on the president's desk, I think it's going to end up being pretty well watered down. But you can't argue that that's not a step in the right direction, because this is people think it's a big government takeover. It's not. This is just a step towards bettering a country. Look at France, look at Canada, look at Cuba. I don't encourage people to watch